Hi, everyone. My name is Georgette Truin. I am the host of Fight CPS. We'll talk with Miss G and the gang, and also work for Attorney Vincent Davis, the one and only man that I truly, truly respect in this fight with CPS. Um, Now I have my gang, my Stacy, my Lindsay, my Dennis, and a guest, Mr. John. He's a return guest, actually. And me and him had conversation about his case, and I suggested he should go on the show and share it with everyone, and to help everyone that needs help fighting against CPS and share the news. Go ahead, John.
Well, at least with the first case I was involved in with my oldest son, um, it was when it boils down to it, it was realistically based on a what if. And
Hmm.
well, I remember around that time I did ask you to do me a favor and see what uh, Mr. Davis thought about that, and obviously they can't do it if they're even if they think. And to me, that's just that's legislation that needs to change. Is like so they can come in and just ruin anybody's life based on a what if, and you just gotta you know kiss their butts essentially. Um, but for a while there, it's just they kept dragging on one of my services, and that was delaying the whole case, and it wasn't even my fault. But eventually it came down to a point where they saw that I was really doing what I need to do. So I guess got lucky with the attorney I did because she actually knows who Vincent Davis is. I'm not going to mention the name of her, but she was pretty good for a public pretender, I would say, um, which surprised me because they're never good. But yeah, now with this new case that is going on, I'm the non-offending parent in the matter.
Hmm.
Now there's a whole another guy who comes off as a deadbeat who wants nothing to do with the kid, right? But I want something to do with the kid. My name's on the birth certificate,
Hmm.
but they're challenging the birth certificate, and that's why they didn't really place her with me yesterday. Long story short, without going into exact details of who is what is who, but that's pretty much all I could legally say about what's going on in my case. But it's looking like I have a good chance, and I've already filled out an appeal, so now I'm just waiting for my lawyer to file it and see what happens there. And if and I also had to go do a DNA test. So I mean, I'm hoping that the DNA test comes back as mine because nobody even has proof of that. Which is, like I said, this there to me, honestly, through my personal experience in dealing with this, it's a huge lack of accountability on the court's part, and a huge lack of accountability on the agency's part. For someone to have so much power to where they could say, "I think this is going to happen," and that's it. It's a wrap. Now you're stuck in a endless loop that's going to be there for life because a lot of people forget. Once you're in the CPS system, you're pretty much in there for life, and there's no changing it.
Yep.
And to me, that's just shocking because in any other court, especially when it comes to the part where you're at the detention report right hearing, right, they can just give it to you right like 5 minutes before court. All right, here's a report. Go over it, and then next thing you know, you're waiving your rights to read and blah 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 blah. It's like what? So you expect me to read this whole entire what I like to call a Harry Potter book because a lot of it's made up,
Yep.
um, or just twisted into a story that benefits them and for them to justify their own funding because I can't really wrap my head around is like who wait like I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they decided to pass the legislation for giving CPS all this power. Because to me, if there was more accountability, watch how many bad social workers drop like flies, bad lawyers, judges, they will all drop like flies if each and every one of them could be held accountable, just
Don't
like us.
I wouldn't assume that CPS has all the power you think they have. Much of the time, they don't have power, but they act like they do. and they're not acting within their legal realm, but they go because nobody stops them.
Absolutely, yes.
And the other thing that I'm listening to, obviously, I don't really know the details of your case, but the Family First Act, it's a federal act of 2018. I don't know why they're digging in and making you prove paternity. You're on the birth certificate, and kinship members for family expand to godparents and just good friends of the family. So why they're trying to carve you out seems more to me like they're trying to put a child in the system because they get more money that way, and they're coming up with bogus reasons to carve you out of your child's life.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I'm
even
hearing,
let's
but I
say
don't know the
for
details. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, but let's just say for argument's sake, like even if I'm not the biological father, the court knows that the biological father wants nothing to do with the kid. The agency knows that too, and I'm the only one that's actually stepped up. And to make it even more interesting, she has a half sibling, my son. They have a strong bond together. My family and me have gotten attached to this kid,
Yeah. It
but yet
sounds
they're
like,
making me do all this, waiting and trying to challenge things. I can't even speak because I'm so frustrated. But they're trying to say that the birth certificate is essentially bogus. Um,
it doesn't matter. You don't
Yeah,
need
it
the birth
doesn't. I was
certificate.
just gonna say, Stacy's right. It doesn't matter. They shouldn't be. I don't know if they legally are allowed to or not, but like I know here that wouldn't fly so much because they don't get to legitimate a parent unless they don't have like affidavit of parentage signed, or if it hasn't already been adjudicated as far as like paperwork goes.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's like
And you're
they
next of
clearly
kin
accepted it
regardless.
and went unchallenged.
Yeah. You're next of kin regardless, so they shouldn't be carving you out. You are a suitable relative, even if you are the biological father or not. You're on the birth certificate. The biological father is backed out. You're very likely next of kin. Plus, by federal law, they're not allowed to separate siblings unless it's proven dangerous that they're
Which
together.
there's no sort of exploratory evidence. There's no detrimental evidence that placing her here would be a bad thing. And what's
Yeah.
funny is I guarantee you they would have never even involved me in the court case if I didn't sat there and emailed the social work. If I didn't, give a voicemail to the social worker who um, did the whole thing. And I did it by voicemail. I did it smart because I'm able to. I found an app to where I'm able to record phone calls, and I only do this when it comes to situations like this where I could legally record. Which I mean, a voicemail. If I'm recording my voice, I mean that's kind of two-way consent right there, technically speaking. Just in case you want to try to make a transcript of what I said, well, I have the audio clip. Here you go, Your Honor. Let's play it on let's go play it on here on Zoom, Teams, whatever you guys want to use. I don't care. Here, I'll play it from my end. Now, Your
That's
Honor, does this
clever.
sound intimidating? Does this sound like it's wrong? Yeah, maybe I was frustrated and telling them that I'm going to, go ahead and get the opinion of a magistrate and see what they think of all this. And
Yeah,
that's when they decided to call me and involve me in the case, and all of a sudden I had rights.
Yeah, so I would, if I were you, I would look into it's from the year 2018. It's called the Family First Act. So I would read that very clearly, and I would also look into your state what the definition of next of kin is. So, likely you are the father, but even if you're not, they still shouldn't be taking the child from you. And look into your state, the laws and federal laws on separation of siblings.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to do all the research I can because, well, I mean, I wouldn't call myself poor, but I definitely can't afford people like Sean McMillan or Vincent Davis just yet, which it would be nice if I could. It'd actually be nicer if I was like, I just had a whole line of fundings. Like, here you go. Everybody could just, sue CPS when they did you wrong on me. Maybe one
Hey,
day.
Miss. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to check over you. Hey, Miss G. Speaking of the whole money issue, did you want to talk about the thing we were talking about the other night about nonprofits?
Yes. So I am starting, or me and Lindsay are starting, and anyone can be part of it. Starting a nonprofit organization to fund mothers and fathers um, with services to be able to get services from an attorney. And Lindsay is supposed to help me with the setting up the whole thing. She's the brain when it comes to technology. I suck. I don't know. I can barely operate my iPhone without Googling it. What Google the other day I had to Google how to remove notification from my iPhone. Like literally I had to Google. I'm not joking because I always get notification. I'm like, I don't want to know this. So I had to stop it by I had to Google and find out how to do it. So Lindsay is the brain.
Thank
Uh,
you. I'm not. I like tasks. I'm
she
very good
loves
at them.
Yeah, she loves it. When it comes to technology, she loves it. And Stacy and Dennis, we haven't even discussed that with them yet. So
I
they're
have
kind
a
of
I have a record player, Miss G, and I don't know how to use my TV.
oh my God. So I love you because we're the same. Miss Geek there, Miss Lindsay. We need to put glasses on her because
I have glasses. I just don't wear them because I can't see the screen if I do.
But there might be some competition between Dennis and Lindsay.
oh my God, Dennis, are you? Oh my God. Okay, Lindsay.
We can be partners. I don't like competition.
There you go. There you go. So
Yeah.
guys, that's what I'm trying to do, guys. Seriously, and when I told Lindsay I want her to be part of it and help me in this, and she welcomed the idea. Very passionate, very go-getter kind of gal. She's like, I'm on it, and that's what I love hearing from her. She's on it all the time, and she hasn't failed me yet, and I'm thankful to God. Um, I'm thankful. I'm really thankful to God for sending me Lindsay, and I love you,
I love
Lindsay.
you too. Thank you. That was so sweet.
It's the truth.
I just can't take it anymore. Like people don't need to should not have to worry about their children being stolen from them anymore. Like it's enough. And if that means that I have to pull a couple all-nighters to set up a website or a campaign page, I got that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
she's actually has been all nighter when it came to setting up our link, and she's amazing. And
Thank
Dennis,
you.
Dennis, my boy, Dennis, you should be talking to Lindsay. You guys
Y'all
should
should really,
brainstorm together.
Yeah, I'm a kid. That's what I do for a living. I spent, got over, what, 12 years now in technology.
Hmm. That's amazing. That's
I
amazing.
would love to collaborate. I'm down.
I've
Sign
done
me
All
up.
right, you guys
software
met.
engineer. That's what I do is software engineer. I write code for a living.
All right, awesome. So
how do
see,
y'all feel about AI?
I don't like AI. That's so demonic. It has to
Did
be
you
a demonic person that came up with this idea.
I think it's
did you
all
see
leading to transhumanism is
Yeah.
really what the end game is, and all this is meshing human biology and machine and AI, and we're no longer governed by our own free will and decisions. We're just going to go by the probability that a computer decides.
Miss G, did you see the attorneys that got sanctioned for using AI for their case law search and the AI made up the case law? It was fake.
Are you serious? Are you wait?
It was fake. It was fake case law made up by AI.
Oh my God. Oh my
There's
God.
other cases of that happening too, where AI is actually creating its own language. Its own language, and that it's
I'm
so
gonna see if I can find it.
the reason why you shouldn't trust AI is because if you actually ask the technology executives of these companies that are developing these products how AI works, they have no idea. But nobody has any idea. It's AI is developed like your brain. It's called a neural network, and that's how it's modeled after us, but we don't even understand how it fully works, which is dangerous.
I was told that the AI um is the new thing now. That people are gonna start using AI, and they're not gonna. There's no need for humans anymore when it comes to corporate America. And even what's his name? Elon Musk said that it was the most dangerous thing to society because it can mimic your voice, it can mimic your face, it can. I don't know how good it is. I've never really got into that, but I was told it actually sounds exactly like you. That's what I was told. So maybe they will not need social services anymore, and they're going to start using a robot. Who knows? I don't know. Don't
Miss
know.
G,
But
Miss
it
G,
sounds like,
this is the
yeah.
title. Your judge sanctions lawyers for brief written with AI with fake citations.
Oh my God.
So they didn't even check it over.
They didn't
No.
even bother to do it right. Like, what
Nope.
in the world are you doing?
Oh my God.
I sent it to Grace to send to you.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to read that.
Oh my God.
That's where the dunce cap really goes.
Yes.
What can you email it to me though, Stacy?
Yeah, you want to email? Sure.
Yeah, email it. You have my work email, right?
Um,
GAT
sure.
at vincentwdavis.com.
GAT.
At Vincent
Found
W.
you.
Davis.
Gotcha. Yeah. AI blunder. That'll be my subject line.
That is horrible. I cannot.
There you go. Got it.
Okay, thank you, John. Why did you ask us about AI? What is it that you know that we don't know?
I don't know. I just feel like these social workers are using a lot of AI to take advantage of people.
I do too.
Oh,
So I find it hard to believe they could just sit there and write like half a book in one night.
About all the terrible things that you are.
Yep.
Yep.
There's been some scary stuff coming out of AI, and the concern that I have with a technologist being an AI is computers typically they're not self-learning. They need to be trained, and they use models to train AI. So they really if you have garbage in, you have garbage out, and these models
Mhm.
for AI are being trained by politically biased corporate tech companies who already want to fight to push their own narratives. So now they're going to use these same ideologies that they instill in their corporate values and everywhere else that are being pushed all throughout the world. And you have that transcend then into your AI, which people are relying heavily on for what they would consider to be unbiased advice, but that's not the case. It's not true at all. The AI is only as good as the training models that they use to teach it. It's like a
Wow.
child. It's like a child. You can mold a child in any way that you really want, if you think about it. And that's the same kind of it's the same kind of approach. They
well,
just feed it a lot of data.
apparently the attorney that trained the AI about the case law is a little unethical. Maybe makes his own up too.
That's wow. I don't know. I just think that AI is going to destroy a lot of people, and I think whoever came up with that idea came up with destruction, and they had in mind something bigger than we thought it was for, and I think they're going to use it for something worse. And now you can't. What they're going to make it where you can't tell if really this person said it or not. You know what I mean? Kind of like what do we have to do now? Save our receipts everywhere we go so we have proof that we were there and this person was there. And I mean, I don't know what to think anymore, to be honest with you. I just think the whole government, um, I just, I'm disappointed in the world. I'm just really disappointed of what they're doing right
It's
now.
fair.
I mean, I didn't even know. I mean, I have another word for it, but I don't want to say it on live, but God knows what's in my heart. This is crazy. We have a lot of even people who are witching or does witchcraft, and they're like luring people in their group um, to lead them on to think that they can help them, but in reality, they're not helping them. And it's sad to me that other people would also use witchcraft to try to change or maneuver their, I mean, to get their case where they want it to go, and then it backfires on them So there's a lot of desperation out there, a lot of people who are doing things, and I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. It's just too much going on, and sometimes I feel like I need a mental break from all this, because I seriously have doubts in our government and system, the government system. I have doubts in, like you said, John, your court appointed attorney is okay. To me, I don't believe it. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I trust none of them. None of them. Because I feel they all have a different motive in mind. There's something in their head, right? So anyone, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. Maybe
So
I'm.
I agree. Like you can't trust every single one of them,
Mm-mm.
and it's like I said, I had for the moment I were in court when I was a juvenile kid.
Yeah.
My court appointed attorneys sucked, and then I've even heard stories of friends having court appointed attorneys that didn't do much of anything for them.
No.
This is what I think. I divorced an attorney, and I have a lot of attorney friends. And if you ever go into, for us in New York State, it's called NICEF. If you ever go in and you look at the court record for any attorneys that are getting divorced, especially if there's two attorneys getting divorced, you see all this motion practice and arguing zealously for themselves like you done never saw for anybody else ever. And that just makes the point that they give you a crumb of defense. They do not argue zealously. So they give you a little ounce of something, litigation, so you think they're doing their job and, oh, this seems great. But when you look at what they do for themselves, then you see what really arguing zealously means.
That is true. Any comments, Miss Stacy and Mr. Dennis? So Stacy first, because she's a lady, Dennis.
That's right.
But I think you mean Lindsay.
I'm sorry, Lindsay. Oh my God, Lindsay. See,
It's all right. I'm so used to it now. Like if I hear Stacy, I just respond.
I think she did this last time too.
Yeah, she does it to me all the time. Like even when we're on the phone, she's like, "Hey, Stacy." I'm like, "Yeah."
I mean, I'm not keeping
So-
count or anything, Miss
You can
T.
call me whatever. I don't really care. I'm not picky.
Dennis, but she doesn't correct me. She just
Nope.
she just leads me on. I'm like, okay, I'm talking to Stacy.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct you either, honestly, but I just wanted Lindsay to have her turn.
I'm sorry, Lindsay. Go ahead.
No,
babe.
it's all right. Yeah, now I forgot the topic we were on because now I'm thinking I gotta change my legal name to Stacy. So thanks for that.
Do attorneys argue zealously for their clients,
Yes.
especially the public?
Okay. Yes.
defenders?
Thank you. So, I know a couple of people that are they don't do like family law or anything like that, but they're like in business, like the financial side of stuff like that. But like they do seem to, when they're either working for a friend or working for somebody they like, or they are working for themselves, I guess,
Mhm.
they tend to argue completely differently. Like the style of argument is even different.
Dennis,
They
go on,
just
then
tend to
I'm gonna
go
come back.
way harder. Way harder.
So I have a good friend of mine who's a public defender, and she's amazing. And let me say that if I ever got in trouble and I couldn't afford legal representation, that I hope that I would get her, because I know. But this is because I know what kind of person she is. I know her values. I know how hard she fought to be in that position. But I think that ultimately, at some point in these attorneys' lives, I think that a lot of them get in with the maybe good intentions, and then somewhere they get lost along the way. And I think that that's what we're seeing, not just with attorneys, but in the world in general, where you have people that are willing to screw the generations after them for their own benefit now in the moment, rather than making sacrifices in the moment to help future generations. And I think that at the end of the day, like they're career people and they have to balance the politics and doing what's right with doing what will progress and advance their career. And I think that some of that is imbalanced. Some of them balance it out. Others don't.
Mhm.
I've seen it mixed, but I think that that's a lot. And just even outside of that, even outside of the scope of attorneys, I think that somewhere people get lost along the way with their own greed and aspirations, and maybe even keeping up with the Joneses, right? Nobody wants to be a martyr in life.
No.
So I think that also, I think everything happens ex parte and behind closed doors. And there's a predetermined narrative that's already agreed on. So why would you bother putting all this into emotion, all this work, when you already know what's going to happen from behind the scenes? This goes along with what Dennis is saying too. It's and I when I first met Dennis, actually, I would send him this image of kids trading baseball cards, and I was like, "This is what's happening with your case. Is they learn from a young age how to trade cases by trading baseball cards. Like they all have their ulterior motives going into the case, especially when they're going up against CPS. um, any lawyer is not going to really match the size of CPS. It's a huge agency. So a lot of times it's the deeper pockets, and the lower attorneys just roll over and acquiesce to the bigger CPS, because it's also sometimes career suicide to cause them problems. So there's a lot too, I think, that happens behind closed doors, behind the scenes with your case. Your case is traded for a desired outcome, and they all give favors to each other, who's going to win the case and not win the case. And a lot of that happens behind the scenes, unfortunately, I think. And I think it happens a lot.
But
Yeah,
see, the
we're
thing,
praying for Richie, for little Timmy. Sorry, little Timmy, you're not seeing your parents next Christmas. We need that check.
what?
I'm just saying that's pretty much how they treat him. Is like what she was saying with the baseball cards, just trading people off. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing, did you guys know that they tell? Okay, so I had the opportunity to speak with a 18-year-old that actually grew up in the system, and he's in college right now. He's in LA County, and he actually called me and wanted to share what he has been through. I asked him to be on the show, but he doesn't want to because he started college and he doesn't want to, he doesn't want people to know what he's been through, right? He's so embarrassed by it. So, but basically, what he said to me, when he was a young kid, he was removed from his mother and dad at age 6. And what happened was, at age 6, the child knows, obviously, my dad and mom are great people. They don't abuse me, they don't starve me, stuff like that. They don't do drugs, etc. So he said that the social worker, he had like several social workers, and the one that used to come to the house every week to the foster home, she used to always tell him that his mom and dad don't want to see him. So what he did is he wrote letters to give to the social worker, to give to his mom and dad. And the social worker assured him that she will give it to his parents. Now, in his letters, and I'm getting goosebumps. Um, in his letters, he said, "Mom, I miss you. Dad, I miss you. Mom, I miss how you smell. I miss your kisses. I miss your hugs. I miss you sleeping next to me, reading me a book." So he described everything, and to his dad, he said, "Dad, I miss playing baseball with you," because his dad was an actual baseball coach in his school, and he said, "I miss you. I miss you. I want to see you. I want to be with you, etc., etc. I don't understand this." And he just kept reading it to me from his memory. Then he said, the foster parents, when he did something they're not happy with, the father and mother, the foster parents, they be in, may they rot in hell one day, used to embarrass him by having him pull down his pants in front of their kids to laugh at his weenie. And they would all say how small it is. So he grew up psychologically. He said he can't date anyone because he's still in his mind. He has a small weenie. That
They
is, it's not
just
good enough. It's not good enough.
completely emotionally
It's
destroyed that child.
yeah, pretty much. So I asked him, did he tell the social worker? He said he did, and he said he cried, and the social worker told him to suck it up. Yeah.
These are not humans.
They're not humans, and people don't understand. Other people that's not involved with CPS is that the reason the parents are so traumatized by children, their children being in a estranged home, right? They don't know what's going on because they know deep inside that the social workers are not going to do the right thing to protect these children. So here we are with the fight against CPS, and CPS is trying to keep us silent, and no public officials are doing anything about it. And why is that? I don't know. But there are some out there, I'm sure that there's some out there who will do something about it.
Miss G, I think you need to block another person.
Are we getting
Yeah,
hate
somebody
again?
just came up and said some like really out of pocket stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look. It'll just make me sad.
Let me just take a picture of it, just for
I don't know if you want to take a picture.
memory. Yeah.
I'm just gonna hit the rewind button on this stream when it's done.
Yeah.
Stop making me laugh.
I just blocked it and I deleted the comment, but I took a picture of it just for memory.
Was it mean?
No.
It was really, really bad, and I think I know who that person is because again,
You know who that is?
I do.
Oh my God.
I do.
What? You're talking about such a sensitive story and they do that? Well, come on.
Well, that person hates the fact that I speak the truth, and
is it a social worker?
Next worst thing.
No.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops.
I do want to comment on that though, because like being a male, right? That part of a man's body, that's something that we are self-conscious about, right?
Yep.
Even growing up, I don't know if it's a societal thing. It's with our friends, right? Me and my friends used to joke around and crack jokes about each other all the time, and we say things like that. So that, speaking from a man's perspective, I can see how that would be extremely damaging psychologically and emotionally to a child, to the point where it would affect his relationships later on, because he's never going to want to reach that level of intimacy with somebody because he's not comfortable with himself. So how can he be comfortable with himself with somebody else?
Yeah, absolutely. And then that like stunts that natural ability to have a genuine human connection with somebody that you can spend forever with. You know what I mean? It just completely takes that whole possibility away from them.
You're causing shame to your body, a body part. It doesn't matter. It's still your body, right?
Yep. That sure did cross the line, James, and you probably know who that person is too. So I'm gonna go back to finishing the story with what that young man shared with me on the phone. But right now, I just want to send a message out there to this person and their little demons around them, who's enabling them get a life. Attend to your own shows and make it happen for yourself. And your constant attack and jealousy is so childish and so elementary that I feel so sorry for you. I feel sorry for your lies and your jealousy and your misleading the public, and your witchcrafts and your tarot card reading and all this bullshit crap. I feel sorry for you. So go on with your life, and
Miss G, I couldn't even believe that was an
Yes.
actual human being. I couldn't believe that a person would actually even do that.
They do that. So what happens is this person, she opens up different types of
Accounts.
accounts, and what she does, and her little demons, her little
The
he,
little minions.
little yeah, the he also in the group, the hater. Um, what they do is they open different accounts, and then they start writing negative comments on my shows. So sometimes sometimes Grace sees it, and then when Grace sees it, then she blocks it. So
Well, sometimes when you make someone angry, it's because you did the right things.
no. Sometimes when people are jealous and see, because they see something in you that they cannot have, and when you are literally speaking the truth and they're spreading lies to make profit, to make money from it, it's going to catch up to them, because the devil can only entice you for a little bit. Because what the devil gives you, power and name and all that and money, is only temporary. But what God gives you is eternity. So, with that being said, God bless them. May God have
I,
mercy on their souls.
I love the comment that Jamie just posted.
What is it?
She said that was definitely a social worker, and that was sick and gross and disgusting, but the truth hurts, right, Miss G? We will just have to pray for them.
Thank you, Jamie. Yep. People understand what we're talking about. They know. There's a lot of pathetic people out there, but be careful who you give your ears to, people. Because a lot of people, you think they're working for the cause, but they're not really working for the cause. They're out there to make money from the cause. So just be careful who you
Use your
entertain.
intuition.
Well,
Like, I know sometimes they can be pretty convincing, or you may think like they've got all the right answers. Dig deep to double check them, because so many people have been, and I'm not saying this specific person did that or didn't do that, but there has been a lot of cases where people will, say, "Oh, I've done this and I got my children back," and da da da, da, and I
yeah,
can teach you how to do it, and blah blah blah, and then they take your money and they leave you high and dry.
yeah.
And it is just so cruel to take somebody that has lost their children, their babies.
They have a name for those kind of people. I think it's called grifters.
But
I
it
bet
What
is.
is it?
Grifters.
I've heard that.
So basically, sovereign citizens that sell you on this whole ideology
Yeah,
of,
that's exactly what I was
being this
talking
free
about.
man on the land. You claim you're some, sovereign entity, or that you're some free man on the land, state national, which, they only tell half the truth of that, because I actually looked into what it's saying. And realistically, that only implies if you're like an international,
International
right? But let's say
waters.
if I do something in Mexico,
Yeah.
let's say if I
Sometimes
do something in Mexico and I get caught up there, it's like, hey, I'm an American. You guys send me back. That's the only time it applies.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. But what Stacy was saying, I mean, Lindsay was saying, is that I'm sorry, Lindsay. Oh my God.
It's fine.
And what Lindsay was saying is that there's a lot of people that pretend to be, they pretend to be helping you, but what they're doing is they're in it for themselves. And the thing about this is that they will have people write comments, people who are their so-called friends write comments that they like, this person really did help me get my kids back, but it's fake. So
Yeah.
people can
They're
read it.
paid to say it.
Right. And think it's legit, but it's not legit. So what happens is there's other people too, Lindsay, if you know, what, Lindsay? They say they got their kids back and they didn't, right?
Yep.
On their shows, and
They'll use like old videos
right,
or
or use old videos, right, something like
yeah.
that, and then or they will say it to get recognition for the cause they're fighting for, apparently, but
In the
no,
background though, they
right,
tend to be like the ones that are the closest to those social workers and those social workers attorneys that you are going up against. They're
yep,
best buddies in the background.
yep.
Just saying. Just my thought.
It's just horrible. It's horrible. But it's not a social worker. Whoever wrote that it could be a social, it's not, it's the social worker. Social workers don't write that. Social workers would write something um uh like mislead you when it comes to laws or when it comes to social workers. Like if I say I don't trust court appointed attorneys, we had a social worker that said she actually attacked me on that that comment I made that day, because in writing, because I said I don't trust court appointed attorneys, I don't trust social workers. So she made a comment based on, or he, based on what I said. But that comment that was written earlier, that was horrible. That's not from a social worker. That's from, I know who it's from. Believe me, I know who it's from.
I
Um,
didn't read it. I'm too soft-hearted. I can't do it.
I read it and I
Makes
took a
me sad.
picture of it and I know who it is because I heard it from that person before. So I heard that exact comment from that person before. See, you
Mhm.
see, guys, God exposes the enemy. If you have faith in God, He will expose the enemy to you. And when you block the enemy from your life, that's when the enemy attacks. But they're so cowardice because a coward will only attack without revealing who they are. But if they don't care, then they would reveal who they are, right? They would say, "Hey, Miss G, this is so and so. That's how I feel about this." But because they're cowards, they don't want to expose themselves because they want to have an image to deceive people out there. They
You're
want to,
so right. You're so
yes,
right about that because if there's one thing that I've learned about cowards in this world, and I'm
yep,
still young, I got a lot of life left to go, but if there's one thing I've learned about cowards, it's one of the things they fear the most is exposure.
yep, you're right.
You know,
Because then
Say that
everybody can
again.
see their true intentions,
Yep,
and it makes it harder. They have to work harder to continue to be terrible human beings.
correct. And also, guys, anybody can make a fake certificate. Anybody can say someone said, someone did. Um, there's a nurse actually that was arrested. You guys should Google that. Lindsay knows. She was arrested because she did somebody did a fake certificate that she graduated from nursing school,
Yep.
and they found out years later down the road that she was not a nurse. She never went to nursing school. So
I I'm a physician assistant, Miss G, and that happened at one of my places of employment where they hired somebody and they thought she was a nurse and she wasn't.
I know. See, so that, I mean, it happens, and I mean, I can anybody can put a picture next to somebody and say, "Oh, look who I met. Look who helped me." Anyone can do that. Technology is so high right now that I can be next to Mel Gibson. I can say, "Look, I just met Mel Gibson. Look at that." Anyone can do that.
Well, and back to the whole technology aspect of it, right? Like, I'm really good with technology. I'm not I haven't gone to school for it or anything, like um I don't have actual formal training, but I've educated myself.
Mhm.
And so it's really easy to get that information to learn how to do these things. Like, I
Mhm.
could, Miss G, did you want to graduate from Harvard tonight? I could have that happen. I
Correct.
wouldn't because I have ethics. But I mean, it's so easy. It's
It
so
is.
easy.
It's very easy. So again, like I said before, be careful who you give your ears to. Be careful who you talk to, because when people like this get involved in your life, it's like inviting Satan in, and in order for Satan to come in your home, you have to welcome it in. So I say it because these people are possessed, indeed. So they're possessed with so many demons. We don't know how many demons possess them, but again, they will use charm and they will use fake personalities to have you invite them in your life. So don't invite anyone in that you're not sure of, and pray about it. Pray about the people you come across, and pray about um, even your attorneys. Pray about it. Pray about it. Pray about everyone, and pray in silence, and let your request be known in silence, because the devil will hear your words and would run with it. So again, pray in silence. Let your request be known in silence, and let your praise be out loud. Let your request be between you and God only. And keep that in mind. But I'm going to go back to the young man. So after he told me that he is having problems, dating and what have you, I actually prayed. Me and him prayed. I prayed for him, and he said he got goosebumps and that he wanted to meet me in person. And I said I am willing to meet him in person. We're meeting at Starbucks on Saturday. In Saturday,
Oh.
yeah, we're meeting at Starbucks, and the location is nearby, so it's going to be between me and him. And this young man also shared that the fact when they used to laugh at his pee, um, they would take pictures of it. And then when he does wrong again, they make him sit in a corner and look at his pee for 2 hours. If he has to go to the bathroom, he has to pee on himself. They make him clean it up. He was the dishwasher. He was the um, vacuumer. He vacuumed. He did the dishes. Um, he did the laundry at age 6 and up. Um, he he would crave a specific type of food, and the foster family would give it to their kids in front of him. And he mentioned that he wanted a toy from McDonald's. It was a like a like action figure toy at the time. He said that he wanted the Happy Meal to eat and get the toy, and the foster mom said he's not worthy of the Happy Meal, and she bought it for her uh, other three children. And they would eat in front of him and laugh at him, and they would use the toys that they got from McDonald's and like dingle it around him and laugh at him. And he would also tell me that his parents were Christian, and when he would pray at night, his foster family would tell him things like, "Your parents were crazy. That's why you're not with them." And even though crazier because they taught you how to pray. So these parents were taking him to a temple that wasn't church, but it was a different temple. And that temple was, he was seeing kids, um, he was seeing a lot of bad things. And they would force kids to bow down to that person. And he said that um, he would say those things to the social worker, and the social worker said he's crazy and basically took him to the doctor. And the doctor diagnosed him with some mental illness, or I don't know, a mental condition. He said they kept giving him drugs, and because the foster parents denied his allegations or his whatever he experienced, and they gave him drugs, and so basically he grew up knowing that no one is there to hear him. No one is there to hear him. Then he said he focused more on school. He wanted to be at school. He didn't want to be home. He would come up with any activity at school. He would like focus on something else. And one day he met one of his buddies, a father, and he was waiting outside with him. His son was waiting outside with this young man, and that young man was waiting for the foster parents to pick him up, but they never came to pick him up. He said it was around 7 something at night, and he said his buddy's father decided to take him home. And he asked him, "What do you do, sir?" Because he was wearing a suit and a tie. He said, "I'm an attorney, son." That's what he said. And he said, what do attorneys do? He asked him, what do attorneys do? And he explained it to him. So he got better at school, and he wanted to be an attorney, but he wanted to be an attorney to fight for the children rights. And he is, again, he's in college now, and he is determined to become um, a servant to the children in society. So there's a beautiful story about him. He did, one of his buddies did give him a phone at the time when he got older, a little older as a teen, and he started recording everything that was taking place. So he has recording of the temple. He has recording of what they did. I mean, they did this to him with his pants down until age 12, actually, age 12. So they
So
did a lot of things to him. Go ahead.
why aren't these people in jail now?
That's what he and I are going to talk about. We're going to talk about all that. But the reason he did not go to anyone else is because he felt so embarrassed. And he actually was watching my prayer show because they told him there is no God. They taught him that, and I told him, I said, if they believe in the devil, then if they believe in Satan, how did Satan happen without God? I mean,
That's a good theory. Like that's a good way to think of it.
yep,
And honestly, that just breaks my freaking heart because that is so unnecessary. If
yep,
if a kid is coming out of a situation that probably wasn't too unhealthy, I mean, had they put services in place or like really got them the help that they needed, they maybe could have never lost him, but that's neither here nor there. My
no,
point is that it's so despicable to torture a child like that.
yep,
You don't do that.
I commend him though, because
yeah.
he could have taken this, right? And a
But
lot of people that are abused, they end up becoming abusers later on in life. And he could have taken this and he could have,
Hold on there, Dennis. Sorry, that's not accurate.
okay.
what do you mean?
It's he's well. I think just the phrasing was off.
So
It does happen though.
But not
yeah,
all the time, right? It
Not
does.
not
I
most often, or it can happen. It's actually fairly uncommon these days, but back in like the 80s, 90s, it was pretty prevalent.
Well, it's happening.
A
yeah,
lot
I can
now.
only speak the work that I did when I was working with the FBI and a lot of this stuff that we found that a lot of the people that were abusing the children, they were abused. So I'm sorry if that came off inaccurate. That was based on my observation and the work that I had done.
He's
And
And
that's fair for the work that you did. That does make a lot of sense,
yeah,
right?
it
Well,
does.
I think if I
I
can
just I always try to correct people when they say that because
thank you.
it personally makes me very defensive. I feel like that makes us feel like we've done even more wrong.
so
No,
if I
was
can
abused.
No,
interject.
no,
I was
that's not what
abused
he
when I was
meant.
Yeah.
No, I know he didn't. I know he didn't. I just that's why I reacted that way because I was the kid that everybody was like, "Well, you're just going to be a horrible person because of what happened to you."
Okay.
Right.
So,
If I can interject, okay?
yeah.
Because I'm a physician assistant and I look into all the research, right? And I have 4 kids. So it's interesting because 2 of my 4 are identical twins. And their response to everything is almost exactly the same. So it's kind of interesting because um, one of the problems with child abuse is that children don't have their coping mechanisms developed. Their coping skills are immature. So there's really no predicting very well how a child is going to respond to their abuse or how they're going to cope because they haven't had the opportunity that all of us have had as adults to figure out how to cope through something so severe and traumatic and just erosive to your core. So all children respond differently. Some are abnormally compliant. You ask them to do anything, they just boop, 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 go and do it because that's part of their symptom of abuse and their coping is to be compliant. You've heard of the Stockholm or the traumatic bond. You've heard of kids with outburst behaviors, of kids that are emotionally hypervigilant in the presence, or They'll have behavioral problems, or or you can have children who have absolutely no, discernible.
No
Uh,
outward kind of.
yeah, and they'll
Yeah.
just be active and normal
It
in the
depends,
with
but
the
you
rest of
guys
their
don't
peers.
understand. But wait, let me finish, Stacy. I understand what you're trying to say, but Dennis, I would like to hear what you have to say, please.
Yeah, and,
I was
and
What's
trying to
you
your
help
know,
him.
opinion?
well,
Don't
no,
worry about any interruption.
I
I'll let.
want
Sorry.
I know I want to thank Lindsay because if I'm ever inaccurate, look like that's how we learn. That's what
That's
makes the
okay,
show
Dennis. Go
great,
ahead.
right?
That's okay, baby. Go
This
ahead.
open dialogue. But just from the work that I have found is that like we're all faced with two choices in life,
Right.
right? And when somebody goes through a traumatic experience, there are opportunities throughout their life where they have to choose whether they want to be a predator or good. And so
Yeah.
and good has consequences with it, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes people feel like and I'm speaking from my own experience because I was the victim of a violent sexual crime when I
Mhm.
was about 8 years old. And and it affected me, and I could have gone a different route,
Yeah.
but and that's why I started the work with the FBI because it was near and dear to my heart, and I figured if I could help and pay back and do something to make a difference that would help. And a lot of the times I found, and I'm not saying that this is generalized for everybody, but in the work that I did, I found that a lot of the people that were abusing children or spreading or promoting the abuse of children, it was because they were once abused, and that was normalized to them. But I don't want to misstate that because I'm glad that you keep me honest because I don't think that is fair to generalize that for everybody because we're all faced with two choices in life: to do good or to do right.
Correct.
Um, so
Correct.
thank you. Yeah.
No.
I respect that you probably had a much smaller pool to um assess, I guess, because like you said, you were working with people that were, you know, doing things that they should not have been doing, and so then you get the more negative side of that. And I didn't mean to like just completely brick wall you. I really didn't. I apologize if it came off that way. That was not my intention. I just for I'm working through it.
That's why I like this show. It's about open dialogue, right? And we need to, if I say something or I misstate something, Stacy keeps me honest, brutally honest, sometimes maybe a little too honest, but it's all right. And I appreciate that in the opposing views, because this is really like how we progress as society is talking through these things and sharing these experiences. So for me to say that I had an experience and I feel about it this way, and for you to say, well, I had an experience and this is why I think that might not be accurate, I think is why we do these things. So
Yeah.
But
And
this is
I do understand what Dennis is saying. Obviously, I did. However, this young man has endured a lot. And somebody asked me what temple. I'm not at liberty of saying, but if you guys understand the devil and what satanic people do, you'll understand what the temple is. So, with that being said, he was afraid to go to authority because they trained his mind to think that they're not going to help him and that they are the authority. So basically, later on in life, he found out that the father, the foster husband of the foster mom, he was working as a undercover drug. I forgot the name he used. It's like uh, he was doing something like he's a. I can't say much. I can't. Anyways, he was a authority figure in a department, and and that's why he was afraid to go to authority because he knows that this person has connections. So he was afraid to expose because he didn't want to be attacked by them, even though he told me that he's taller than the foster dad now. He doesn't live in their home anymore. but psychologically, as a child, he was conditioned. He was conditioned, and anything he told his therapist would go tell the foster parents. The foster parents would beat him and discipline him, and they tell him things like, if you say anything, you know we're gonna do this again and again and again. So the kids started saying good things about the foster parents because he didn't want to go through that again. So as he got older, again, he had one good friend at school, his buddy, his buddy is dad is an attorney, and he found peace. But his buddy would not share what he used to tell him to his dad. See, had he shared, because there's like a code, like friends code, like you can't tell anyone. This is between you and me. It's like a guy thing. That's what he said. And if that friend would have told his father, I'm not sure if his dad would have done something or not. I really don't know. I don't trust all attorneys. I mean, I have a really hard time trusting attorneys and social workers. And if I trust an attorney, then I will support that attorney. If I don't trust an attorney, then I'm not going to support that attorney. And that's how I live my life. So, again, it's very hard. Like, I asked him so many questions. That's why I'm going to meet him in person. And I told him Starbucks is on me. I'm going to get it for him. And if he wants to eat, of course, I will treat him. He was laughing. Again, he was a very sweet person. He was very sweet, very kind on the phone, very kind, very, very kind. And it didn't ruin him. And like Dennis said, thank God that he chose the right way to make a difference. Because oftentimes when kids are being abused, they come out of the abusive home, and they end up stealing and robbing and killing, and they're retaliating against the
Or
world.
just like suicide, some type of
Yeah,
way too.
yeah, yeah, and they retaliate against the world. So a lot of kids, like a friend of mine told me, in jail, he said 78% of them were foster kids. 78%. Google it. Either 75 or 78% are foster kids, were foster kids. So kids don't know how to. Okay, I'll give you an example. Kids, when you're a child, you have a memory bank. They call it memory bank. When your memory bank is full and there's things in there that you don't want to remember, right? Because it makes you angry as a child. So what they do is they put that all the memory, all the hurt and pain in that memory bank, and they lock it up. It doesn't open until they face another circumstance of abuse, meaning unfair person, unfair boss, unfair coworker, et cetera, et cetera. Then their memory box opens and brings out all the bad things that happened to them before. Then they take their anger on those people, for example, that they work with because they hurt them. So they take their anger on them, and then you'll hear things like this guy shot a coworker, in the head, or this person went and shot the whole, school system, because there's something in their psyche that led them to believe that they're going to be retaliated against again, and that's why they do what they do. So what this young man did, is he wanted to make a difference, and like Tracy, Lindsay, I'm sorry, oh my god, like Lindsay and like Dennis, they made a difference. Lindsay, Lindsay. I'm gonna have to say her name over and over again so I can remember.
You could call me Bernadette and I would answer you. So
Please don't give me that option,
okay.
Bernadette. I'm going to call her Bernadette next time. No, but seriously, I mean, we all learn from experience, but unfortunately, kids who grew up in an abusive home are dear to my heart, and honestly, they need help. The thing is, children don't need drugs. When you medicate someone, even an adult, you're only medicating the condition. for briefly medicating the condition, but you're not healing the actual core of the condition. So what happens is when you give children medicine and drugs from a young age, you're medicating them, you're hindering them from using their natural given, God given brain cells to develop better. You know what I mean? Kids don't need drugs.
They did
Kids
that
don't
to
need
my
drugs.
daughter, Miss G.
My God.
Yeah, they did. She because I was talking about how she was running away from her father yesterday. We were talking about that. Where she ran away. There were multiple police reports because she ran away so many times because he was strangulating her. After she ran away so many times, they put her on Risperdal to chemically restrain her from running away from her father. They put her on clonidine to stop her from being mad at her father. They gave her a sedative so she could sleep at her father's house at nighttime. And they put her on like Adderall to wake her up so she could go to school in the morning. And she was so doped up.
That's
that I
so
think
dangerous too.
I
All
think
those different
she knows.
combinations of medications are
Yeah.
so.
She was so doped up that she refuses to take medication of any kind today because this was so traumatic to her. She was afraid she was going to die because she was so doped up. But B, I think they did that to also erase her memories.
This
You know,
is so sad.
after you said that, it kind of made me think for a second because I have never thought about it like that, and that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, they did.
For
And yeah, it was awful. It was awful. And I'm mad at anyone that prescribed for my child like that. And they knew that she made sex abuse disclosures, and then they did that after and gave sedatives to a parent who my child disclosed sex abuse by. And then they can't understand why she's missing so much school and not attending. And then the reports are that she was sleeping in his bed. That was in the psych report from the school, and the school did nothing about that too. And that was even when she was a teenager.
yeah, that I had that experience. So from somebody who lived that, I can just say like therapy. I know like you've probably heard that word to death, but
Well, she's
genuinely,
still in his custody.
yeah, and that's so much worse. Why?
And he has 4 CPS indications from a neighboring county. And I think it's just because he used to be an attorney for CPS himself.
You didn't know CPS is corrupt. Had I known what I know now when it comes to narcissists, I would have detected my ex 100%. Because now I sniff them. Now I just sniff them. Like my friend introduced me to her new boyfriend. And I'm like, what are you, high school? My boyfriend? This is my boyfriend. I'm like, don't introduce me to your guy friends as your boyfriend, right? So she's like, okay, this is my guy I'm dating. And she went like that. And I'm like, okay. So I started talking to him and I'm like, okay, he's a narcissist. Don't see him again. And she looked at me. She's like, how in the name of God did you know that? I said, because he said AYZ, example, right? And he's like, no, you're crazy. You just think everybody's a narcissist. I'm like, okay, no problem. So later on, lo and behold, she comes crying to me, knocking on my door, because she found out that he deceived her. And I said, how did you find out? She said, he was coming out of my neighbor's house across the street. I said,
The neighbor, come on, man.
Across the street. But the thing about it is her neighbor is a actress in Hollywood, but she's not a big actress, but she's like one of those you show on the screen for like a few minutes. That
An
kind of
extra?
person, right?
She's an extra?
Yeah, she's an extra. Yeah, there you go. She's a starving actress. There you go. So it's funny because the person she was living, the house that she's in, belonged to a person that was paying all her bills. And you guys all know what that person is, right? So the house.
Can I say it?
Yes, you can say it.
Can I?
Yes, please. Say
Sugar
it.
daddy.
Oh, I was thinking worse. Okay.
I wasn't think. I was the same.
Yeah.
The
So
term just makes me so happy.
right. So when he was going there, she thought he made friends with the owner. I mean, the older guy that lives there. But that older guy was out of town before the 4th of July. So she was there alone. So her and him made connection, and she is beautiful. She sent me a photo of her. She is gorgeous. I'm not joking. She's beautiful. Okay. And he was coming out of the house. Then she asked him, she said, "Oh," and then the first thing he said, "What are you doing home so early?" So he didn't expect her to come to her own place that early. So she gave him a key to the house and everything. It was so crazy. And anyway, she said, "What are you doing over there? What's his name is traveling. So what are you doing there?" Oh, she needed help with her. He said the sink was clogged. Her kitchen sink was clogged, and he was helping her. And then that was that. So later that evening, she went to the restroom, and then she saw his cell phone, and she knew his password because she kind of, found out by chance when he was using it, right? And then she turned on the messages, and she saw all the text messages between them.
I just love when my, shady boyfriend's phone number just happens to fall into my phone. I love that when that happens.
Yeah, see, it's sad, but see, again, I told her be careful. I told her to be careful. When you deal with a narcissist, you literally can detect another narcissist from miles away. And you would detect a liar and a deceiver from miles away. Sometimes we tend to tell ourselves, like, we tend to second guess ourselves because we want to believe this person is good. We want to believe that.
I
But
just said this to you
yeah,
the other day.
yeah, you did. You second guess when I told you what happened, right? Yeah. You second guess yourself when you think that person is genuinely good, and you want to believe that. That's why you don't see it right away. And I have a habit of loving people so much, they become family instantly. And I think I told you that, Lindsay. It's like, okay, you're family now. This is
Yeah, she did. Yeah, you did.
It's like, to me, we all have to love each other. We have to become family because there is no end in family, but there is an end after, to friend. A friend has an end to it. A friend is only there either to teach you a lesson in life or to be your support and be your cheerleader. And when that happens, that friend turns into family right away. Why? Because they will not leave you ever. But a friend, the last three letters in friend is end. So there's an end to it. So we all need to behave as such as family. And that's how I like to see people, as family. Because to me, in order for me to do my job right with Davis, in order for me to fight for the right thing, I have to see you as family. If I don't see you as family and I only see you as friend, then my heart is not going to be in it. Does that make sense? It's just me. That's just me. It doesn't mean everybody else has to be like that or everybody else should understand me, but I've never shared that before. The reason you guys are family, even people I don't meet, all these people writing comments, I don't know them in person, but I tell them I love them. You understand? So I feel your pain. I feel the need for justice, and I feel the need, and I know what you feel when your children are not home with you in your arms. Believe me, that pain is so real to me that I will do anything in my power to expose them and to put a stop to it. I am doing things behind closed doors. I don't need to announce it, and I'm not going to announce it, but Lindsay knows what I'm talking about. um, I am doing things to make a difference, and I want you guys to be the voice that needs to be heard. So if you guys want to be on the show with me, Lindsay and Dennis and Stacy and Star, which I don't know where the heck she is today.
She's working.
Okay. You guys can welcome to email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. She's the show producer, and ask to share your story. And I need more stories right now more than ever. There's a reason behind this, and I want you guys to speak truthfully about your case, but not mention any names, but truthfully, because you never know who's watching. You never know who's trying to get information and what's going on. You guys have to be truthful to yourselves. And remember, when you lie, God is not with you. When you lie, God is not with you. I'm sorry. But God is not going to help you if you lie. If you keep on lying, you're lying to yourself. And you need to be honest. You need to acknowledge your mistakes, because we all make mistakes. But don't go to God only to get help for a brief minute and then forget about God after God gives you help. So basically, when we deal with our trials and tribulation, it's because you are basically being taught something. There's something that we need to learn from it. Either making wise decisions, because sometimes we make decision based on just love. When a guy says I love you, I was like, oh, I love you too. But again, I grew up in a way where my parents kind of sheltered me a little bit from life, from people, in a way where I didn't date, you know, a lot, obviously, and I had to be careful because I didn't want to do things before marriage with this person. So if somebody says, let's do it, I'm like, no, sorry. But that, to them, that was crazy. Like, what do you mean I'm going to marry you first? Let's do this. I'm like, no, no, no. But so I didn't learn a lot about men. And so when a man says, I love you, I'm like, I love you too. He loves me. He's there for me. But in reality, you're in love with a narcissist. And that's the lesson I learned, because from not loving that person who had no love for me to begin with, or love for God to begin with, um, it led my life, it maneuvered my life into a different atmosphere, like a different planet. Even though we live in the same planet, all of us, but I felt like I belonged, that I was in a different planet in life. I didn't know what's going on. So your confusion and all that is not from God. Your confusion is from evil, because evil wants you to be confused. So all my confusion didn't lead me anywhere, because I didn't stick to where I needed to go. I didn't just say, all I did was ask why. Why is this happening? Why did this happen? I'm a good woman. I didn't hurt anyone. No one hurt me. Why? So it's it taught me a lot in life. So when I speak to you guys, I put myself in your shoes. Oftentimes, people don't understand that when I'm rough with you, it's because I'm showing you that you made a mistake, and I don't want you to make that mistake again, because I want you to get your kids back. So when you guys call me and say, Miss G, I spoke to the social worker and I sent this to her, read it and tell me. And you already sent it to her, which is sad. And here I am reading it, and I'm like, oh my God. If I was an attorney, I'll be like, I would fire myself from your case. Like, I would never ever write something like that to anybody.
Can they do that? Can they fire themselves?
Yeah, attorney can recuse themselves from the case. Absolutely.
Oh, duh. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, but the thing is it's kind of, people don't understand. So when I got
I'm
upset
very
with
tight.
this person, and I said, "What the f are you thinking?" That's what I said.
Well, Miss G, that's really being a true friend,
Yeah,
because some people, they just want, oh, the hand holding experience, and you do, I'm sorry, Dennis, but you do have to be brutally honest sometimes, because this is like life and death stuff. That's not like, oh, let's beat around the bush, and and I'm going to tell you what you want to hear and hold your hand through this. It's life and death stuff, and whether we want to think about that or not, but the consequences of this, horrific treatment our kids are receiving, and why we're here, it is life and death, whether you realize it in this moment or not. It is. And so, when you're being, assertive with somebody in that way, it's because you care about them,
yeah.
and they need to learn what you're trying to show them quickly, because otherwise their case could go really in a wrong way very quickly.
But you said something that I did not believe in. You said friend. I was being a
Oh,
friend.
Yeah.
I wasn't being a friend. I was
You're being
talking to her like
family.
she's my little sister
Yeah.
because, or I'm her aunt or something. I get upset when people screw up.
I do too.
I get upset, not so much because I'm an angry person. No, I get upset because shit.
You care.
What the hell are you thinking? It was so bad. She sent it to the judge and the social worker. She sent it to the judge, and that judge instantly ordered a termination of parental rights, and she needs psychiatric evaluation again
Mhm.
because she's using emotion to control her future. When you use emotion to control your here and now and your future, you're going to lose. You're going
Yeah.
to lose. You have to be calm. You have to be, you have to be, when you're calm and you're centered, when you're centered in your mind, things will make better sense to you and things will be clearer to you.
You're
But
right.
you're
You're
not
right.
centered, you're all over the place. And when you're all over the place, you actually write it down. And when you write it down, you confuse the crap out of people. Okay. So, I mean, she went on writing like, well, she said, I don't appreciate her picking her. Well, who the fridge is her? Right? Judges don't talk like that. When you're in court, you don't talk like that. You say, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Smith were at Carlos Jr. and I saw them smoking a joint. You know, you have to address the person with first name, last name. If it's a child, you say, minor Alex Smith indicated, blah, 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 blah. Not, you
Do
don't,
they, I'm
yeah,
sorry, do they name children in your state?
yeah, they put the names of the
See,
children.
they don't do that here.
No,
What they do is they
no,
initial the child's name,
no,
and
in
then it
our,
is not released after that.
wow. No,
We
in
do
our,
both in New York.
Do you?
really? Well, it depends if it's maybe a high profile child. Like sometimes we have high profile cases that I can't talk about. Sometimes they're from bands and, popular bands or, you know, actors, but we can't talk about it. But stuff like that, those are the ones that you can use initials on. So that way it will be, they pay a lot of money to be discreet about things, you know? So there's a lot of ways you can go about that. But when you address a judge in a letter, the judge doesn't know who CJ is, right? Think about it. The judge wants to hear names. She wants to hear, he or she want to hear names. So when you address the judge is not your emotional kickback. Judges are not going to sit there and say, oh, she's just emotional right now, I'm going to forgive her.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to do that. They're already emotionally bankrupt to begin with. How will you expect them to understand you, and they're already bankrupt from themselves? So
True.
the reason you do that, the reason you send a letter to the judge, for example, the reason you do that is because you want to have a paper trace when you go to federal court and address the matter. So it doesn't mean the judge is going to act on it on your letter. Doesn't mean that. But at least you have paper trace. Say, hey, this is what I did. But if a federal judge reads it, they're going to literally say, go and screw yourself. Because that's so stupid. So that's the stuff I get angry about. It's like, at least let me read it. Let me read it. But how are you going to ask me to read it? Get my opinion, and you already send it. It makes no
Yeah,
sense.
that seems like such backward thinking because
Yeah, it
how are you
makes no
going to
sense.
pay?
How?
No, I don't get it.
I have to drop. I just sent and that was just me being funny, Lindsay. I didn't actually mean that in the chat. I'm just being funny with you. I'm hassling you. I have to
Oh, I
drop.
haven't even looked at the chat.
Um,
Sorry.
I have to drop. Unfortunately, there's a few things I got to do before I have a podcast coming up. I just wanted to thank you for allowing me on the show again, and it was really good to hear all this. It really was. I just kind of took it all in. So thank you.
Are we gonna see you again? Because I really love having you. I really, really do.
You'll see me
I
I
again.
was
love having you so much. You put a smile on my face.
Thank you. It's
On my
very sweet
side.
of you. You make me blush.
Huh?
I said you make
I
me
was just gonna say, when I get the podcast up and going, I would like to possibly interview you if you're interested. So Miss G can like give you my email, and maybe we could figure that out later on when you're not as busy and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is this chat public or is this just for us?
No, this is just for us.
Okay, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat. You can feel free to reach out to me whenever you'd like.
Awesome, thank you,
You're welcome. Thank you,
And
ladies. I
the
appreciate
Stacy.
it.
You're staying, right?
podcast
Very
is
much.
called. Yeah,
I gotta go
gonna
too. My work just called.
Oh, flip.
Peace. All right.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you too, sweetheart. You too, Stacy or Tracy. Wait, Stacy.
Nope,
Yeah,
it was Stacy. You had it right the first time.
I don't have anything right when it comes to names. I suck. Did you know I
That's
suck?
all right.
Do you
It's
know
all right.
my old clients would come to me and then it would be like Doctor So and So or Judge So and So or this so and so. It was like high profile people in society. That's my previous job, but I used to forget their names.
Oh my goodness.
So I swear, and I would be like, okay, let me write
Big
it
faux
down.
pas
I
there.
would write down blonde hair, blue eyes, heavy set. That's so and so. So I can remember their names. I'm so bad at names; it's so embarrassing. Seriously, if I don't
That's all right.
know,
You can call
yeah,
me whatever you want. I don't
I'm
care.
so bad. I don't know why. I think this is just a. It could be a condition or something. I don't know, but I remember phone numbers. I remember. I would remember your address. Like literally, I would remember
So
numbers.
numbers you were pretty good with.
Numbers I am excellent with. Excellent. I can remember numbers when you just read it to me, it will be computed in my head. Yeah, it's just automatically. I think it's because I've always been in finance, and
Yeah.
investments. So it's kind of numbers is the real deal, but names, very bad.
See, language and names are my thing. Like that's my bread and butter. I'm good at that.
See, that's why you're the geek. I tell you.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
proud to be.
that was a good show today, actually. And
Yeah,
even
it was.
the person made a very bad statement. Um, but you know what? They're going to have to reap their own shortcomings, right?
Yep. Karma will get them.
God will get them.
Yep.
God will get them. But it's all good. It's all good. I took a snapshot of it. I'm going to text it to you
Okay.
because you didn't see it.
I did not.
Oh my gosh, when you see it.
I'm glad I didn't because I probably would have cried.
Well, here, I'll just send it to you now. I want you to read it, and I want to see everybody to see your expression on your face.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Reading it, because that was so wrong on so many level. So many level. Do you see it?
What?
Yep.
No, unacceptable. We don't do that here.
Nope. Do you see that?
Gross.
Yeah. So all the people been watching, they saw it. They saw that comment. They literally saw that comment and they were not happy with that.
No, I wouldn't be either. My goodness. I apologize to all of you. That was horrid.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to share it on the show because Analyzer wants to see it. I'm going to share it on the show real quick. Hold on. That's so sad. I am so. Can you share it on the show? Can you send it to me in private? Go ahead, send it to me in private.
Mm.
I'm gonna send it here. Analyzer. I'm gonna send it here. Just wait for Lindsay to show it. Give her a minute. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't even know where Lindsay went right now. But here. Oops. I don't even know here. Here it is. Here it is. That's what they said. Which is really, really, really sad. I didn't even want to say it on a live show, but if you guys can see it, I hope you can. That's Here it is. I think this is more clear. There you have it. So, anyways, the producer did what the producer needs to do, which is block them and deleted the comment. But Lindsay is already on the chat making comments. So, Lindsay, I already showed it to them, baby. So you don't have to anymore. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna have to say goodbye, and I will see you guys tonight at 7 p.m. at How to Fight CPS and When show. I can't wait to see you all there. Love you guys. Stay strong, and if you need me, you can always reach me anytime. And usually, when I talk to you guys, I would end up giving you my cell number, anyways, and then you guys will be able to text back and forth and what have you. God bless you all. Lindsay, I love you so much. And Stacy, I adore you so much and I love you. And Dennis, I love you too so much. And Star, I missed you. We all missed you and I hope you're doing okay. I will see you guys tonight at 7 o'clock. And I will see you guys again next week. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the prayer show tonight or not. But I usually have the prayer show on Thursdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. after Davis's show. But I'm not sure if I want to do it tonight because I have a lot of things to do, actually. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.